Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky, and I'm joined as always by the man who has just kissed my ring and pledged allegiance to the Culture Swally. It's Greg. How are you today, Greg?
I feel like I did that like 3 years ago or longer.
Yeah, you did actually. Yeah, you probably did. Yeah, you're right actually. Yeah, but you just you kind of just reassured it just recently.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sort of renewed my vows. So
exactly. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. How are you today? All good?
All good. Yep. Looking forward to correcting some historical inaccuracies when we cover our film later on.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's not too many though, but well, we'll get into that later on. But there are one or two. But yeah, we'll speak about that later. But yeah, everything else good with you?
All good. Yep. Looking forward. I've got a little tribute band concert to go to tomorrow, which is something exciting to do. I did find out that you often mention, or you've mentioned a couple of times, both on the pod and just in our conversation from when you lived in Dubai, Kamara, market of knockoffs and
Karama,
stuff.
yeah.
Karama, sorry. Did you know that? Did you know that the police shut it down?
Oh, really? Did they? They always threatened to, but I thought they always just kind of got away with it. Has it been completely shut down now? Is it
completely shut down? Wow. I was sitting with a Scottish colleague today having coffee. I won't name him. Not that he'll listen to the Culture Swally, but maybe one of his relatives listens. I don't want to stick him in. But he's a nice fella. He's sound. He's a bit older than me, and he was he sort of gives English people ammunition to hammer us all with the stereotype of being sort of a tight Scottish person in his chat. But he was going on about Kamara, and he was saying, oh, brilliant, like, instead of going to Polo, you could just go up there and buy like 10 Polo tops for hardly any money. And they would last you 6 months, then the collars would fall off and all that, but that doesn't matter, you just go back and buy some more. And I could just see, like, there was a few English colleagues with us, and they were starting to tee up the tight Scotsman stuff, and I got pelted all morning because of this guy. I'd never even been there.
You never went? Oh, it was brilliant back in the day. I mean, obviously, I'm talking back in the day, like early 2000s, even up until maybe like 2005 or so. And you would go, and it was just this row of shops, and you would go in, and on the shop floor, they would have loads of fake stuff, but it was like obvious fake stuff, like pretty cheap quality stuff. But if you had a little word with a man, there'd be a little secret door, and you would open the door, and you'd go up this little staircase, and all the shops had this, and you'd basically be in the loft, and there was all this stuff that was just fucking absolutely perfect knockoff stuff. And of course their thing was no, it's real, genuine fake. And it was a bit more expensive than the stuff that was on the shop floor, but yeah, it was a lot of the stuff you would never be able to tell. But obviously highly illegal. But I went a few times. I think when I was younger, I remember buying a pair of Sean John trousers and a pair of Johnny Blaze jeans there.
Oh, really?
But yeah, once I'd moved there, I think I only went maybe once or twice. Never really went there for anything, because you never really wanted anything fake, to be honest. But loads of people loved it, going to Karama, getting their fake stuff, their knockoff. It's not like down the barras,
No, it's a Paddy's
Market.
Just
get your knockoff software and DVDs and stuff. No, it was all clothing and handbags. Like it was good for the ladies. They all got their handbags and purses and shoes and stuff. So it was good for them.
My cousins and I used to go at Paddy's Market in Glasgow and buy Amiga games. Because it was quite easy to copy Amiga games. I remember I used to have this sort of copy software that I copied off. I copied it off somebody. The copy software. I can't remember what it's called. It might come back to me. But yeah, you could go down there, and they always had like whatever was new, because they would just buy it and crack it and copy it. So you could get. I remember we went and bought the Ninja Turtles arcade game for like, it was like 3 discs, and it cost us like £2.50 or something. And and the thing was, if they ever had any the guy would say, like, if there's any issues with it, just bring it back, because they would do the copy for you there and then. You would wait. They had like an Amiga and a generator that was plugged into it, and they would just like they would just do the copy for you sort of there and then.
Oh, wow. Copy to order. Fantastic.
You just wait a couple of minutes. Yeah. It was fucking brilliant, Paddy's Market. Obviously, it got a bit harder to do as home computers and consoles got a bit more sophisticated, but God bless the Commodore Amiga. That's all I can say. What a time to be alive.
Yeah, I had an Atari ST, and I was the same. I used to get copied games from my friend all the time. And even the PlayStation 1, I used to get copied games. Our mutual friend, who, as you've said, was a scourge to the Scottish Rail network.
Oh, yeah.
He had a little sideline. He would basically just go to Blockbuster, rent a game, copy it, and then
sell it.
Would sell them, yeah. Obviously, then you got a master copy.
What did they copy it onto then? What format disc? What disc?
Just a CD. It was like a DVD.
Right, okay.
Just a DVD you would copy it onto, and as long as your PlayStation was chipped, or you could get a little thing, those were the days you could buy them in the shops, and it was basically just a little spring you put on into the original PlayStation had this little sharp bit that went in.
Yeah.
So you got this thing, it was a disc and a spring. So you would put in this disc and put the spring in the thing and put it down, and the disc would spin about 5 times, then it would lift up, you would take the disc out, put your copied game in, close it, and then it would just play perfectly.
Right.
Yeah, it was a little bit of faff, but it was worth it for getting a game for basically like £3. And
better than spending 40 or 50 quid on a brand new one from
exactly.
Game or somewhere, right?
Yeah. But that was over 20 years ago, so you can't do me now. So it's fine, yeah. So it's
statute of limitations.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah. Anyway, that's enough about piracy, and because you wouldn't steal a car, Greg. So
that's what exactly. Well, yeah, I wouldn't steal a car.
No, not anymore. Okay, right. Right, shall we have a look at what's been happening in Scotland over the last couple of weeks then, Greg?
Cue the jingle.
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, Greg, so what have you seen in Scotland over the last couple of weeks that has caught your eye?
Okay, so my first story this week, we've had similar stories in the Swally before. We had one, I think you had one maybe last year about a haunted doll. Well, this is another story about a haunted doll. This is Yvonne Hydes, who lives in Paisley. The story starts, a haunted doll, which is in punctuation marks, quite rightly, gifted to a paranormal investigator, allegedly has the spirit of a teenager attached to it, the Scottish Ghost Company claim. So there's a Scottish Ghost Company. That I did not know this.
Wow.
Yvonne Hines, who's an event organiser with the company, conveniently, received the gift last month, but became concerned when it began to move furniture and caused a knocking sound in her house. She claimed the toy made a knocking sound in the boot of her car until it was moved into the back seat, as well as communicating through a glass during a vigil. And now Yvonne says that after further investigation, they have discovered the doll has the spirit of a teenager called Teresa attached to it. They believe that Teresa was aged between 13 and 15, died in a fall, but the ghost didn't want to elaborate on whether it was deliberate or not. During an investigation on Saturday, November the 4th, at Bannockburn House in Stirling, the team sat the doll down for a live streaming event, and viewers claim to see a face peeking out the side of the doll. I've got a picture here. So there's a picture of the doll in colour. It looks quite innocuous. And then there's another picture that's like the sort of negative of a photograph. Now, because the doll has got a sort of dark coloured collar at the top of her dress, when it comes out on the negative, it looks like a big wide toothy grin. And there's like a sort of V shape on her dress. So the wide toothy grin looks like it's got a little sort of divilly goatee, like our mutual friend is trying to grow at the moment. So it says, a pair of eyes, a nose and a mouth appear to be visible at the left side of the doll's face, and the image was later inverted to make it clearer. I'll share this picture with our, it's so hard not to say Twitter, with our ex-followers and also on Instagram, and we'll see what you guys think. Yvonne said that we took the doll to Bannockburn House at our public event on Saturday night. One of the viewers thought she saw a wee face peeking out from beside the doll. She sent us the photo. I've inverted it, and wow, it's not often the inversion picks up on features. We get sent photos all the time, and the majority of the time, here's a word I've never heard before. Now, I'm going to try and say it properly. The majority of the time, it's just pareidolia. Pareidolia, whatever that is. I'll look it up in a minute. But this doesn't appear to be. Speaking previously about the spooky experience, Yvonne said, my friend and I were going up to Lust last Wednesday. That's where Take the High Road was filmed. I said that. Yvonne didn't say that. I don't know if Yvonne knows. She might know. My friend and I were going up to Lust last Wednesday. She didn't know about the doll at all. But whilst we were in the car, we both heard 3 knocks. I heard it, but I didn't say anything. My friend turned to me and asked if I heard the knocking. At this point, the doll was still in the boot. The doll was still in the black bag in the boot. So I told her. We didn't hear it on the way back. Strangely, since we brought her out and sat her in the back seat, I've not heard anything. So that's Yvonne and her haunted doll.
Well, the doll just wanted to sit in a comfy seat, didn't want to be locked in the boot, so I'm not surprised it was knocking.
Yeah, I mean, I just take issue with the whole thing. So the girl who claims to have a haunted doll works for the Scottish Ghost Company. She's an events organiser, and we're not interviewing her friend here. She's just saying, oh yeah, my friend. There might not be a friend, Nikki. She might just made the whole thing up. What was she going to Lust for? It's just a tiny wee place. Unless she wanted to go and see where Take the High Road was filmed. But you shouldn't mention that.
So you think
it's very nice.
A big scam to get people involved in her ghost society.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know. You know me. I'm very cynical about. We've had ghost stories and claims of spooky goings on the podcast before. I think it's just a lot of attention-seeking old bobbins. But what do you think?
Well, I saw this documentary the other day on Netflix, and it was I think it was called Child's Play, and it was about this doll that got possessed by this murderer, Charles Lee Ray, and I mean, it was pretty accurate, I think, this documentary, and I believed it.
You did.
And the little doll, he killed the kid's babysitter and tried to kill him and his mum, and it was brutal.
That's appalling.
Yeah.
Was it in the? Do you think it will be in the Day of the Record or the Scottish
No,
Sun?
it was American, so probably it might have been in the Chicago Tribune or something.
Yeah, TikTok or something like that.
Yeah, TikTok. Yeah, that'd be it exactly. Yeah. No, it's a load of shite. Obviously, there's no such thing as possessed dolls or anything like that nonsense. I don't believe in anything like that. So no, I would say she's havering shite and just trying to get people to visit the whatever it is she's doing in terms of her little group. But hey, fair play. If people believe it and if she believes it, then good on you and good luck to yourself.
Well, I've just looked up the word pareidolia to see what it means. The Google explanation is pareidolia is the tendency for perception to impose a meaningful interpretation on a nebulous stimulus, usually visual. So, for example, a British plug socket upside down looks a wee bit like a happy face. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got the two eyes in the mouth there, yeah.
It's more a kind of like, face, isn't it? Rather than a happy face.
Yeah, okay, like a sort of surprised emoji.
Yeah.
So there you go. So whilst the story might have been pish, we've learned a new word on the Culture Swally.
There you go, Greg. Every day is a learning day on the Culture Swally. Wonderful.
Absolutely. That story would have been better for Halloween. But anyway, never mind. It wasn't published in time for Halloween, for our Halloween spooky episode, which is still available.
This episode will be going out the 30th of November, so it's nearly a month from Halloween. So it's the Halloween anniversary, we could say. It counts as, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Anyway, that was my first bit of havering this week. What's your first story?
So my first story this week, Greg, comes from the Scottish Sun this week, and the headline is Orange Flush. A veggie fanatic says eating 10 carrots a day has given her a year-round tan by turning her orange. Pals of pale Denna Rendell, 21, feared she had suffered a makeup disaster when they noticed a flush to her face. But the customer services worker from Edinburgh says scoffing loads of her beloved root veg for nearly a decade has led to, here's another word for you, Greg, carotenemia. A usually harmless pigmentation. Dina spends around £40 a week on vegetables alone, including 6 kilograms of her beloved carrots. She said, I'm a blonde pale girl with very fair skin, but because I eat so many carrots, I have a tan all year round. When people ask me what tan I use, I tell them I just eat a lot of carrots. They think I'm joking. I never get sick of them. Dina started crunching through 1 or 2 a day when she was 12, gradually upping her intake throughout her teens. But she briefly cut down to 6 after a photograph taken at her 18th birthday highlighted the stark colour contrast between her neck and her face. She recalled, I thought, oh my god, that cannot be real. I look like an Oompa Loompa. But she soon went back to her normal 10 a day and insists she is rarely ill and never tempted by fake tans. She added, it's far healthier than sunbeds. I don't think it's worth risking the negative effects, so I think I'll stick with my carrots. Carotenemia is caused by the prolonged intake of foods rich in carotene, a pigment that adds a yellow colour to the skin. It is found in fruit and vegetables such as orange, squash, papaya, mango, carrots and cabbage. Carotenemia is usually not serious and is treated by a reduction in carrots. So Greg, this is our young girl, Dina from Edinburgh, who has a year-round tan just by eating carrots.
But, like, she surely hasn't woken up one morning and just suddenly had this, like, dark orange complexion. It must have been sort of gradual.
Yeah, you would think it must have built up. Yeah, it must have built up over a while. But yeah, and there's a photo of her in the sun. She has got like a tan, but it looks like she's applied fake tan very badly. Like it's patchy,
right.
Like especially around her hands and stuff.
Right.
And yeah, I wouldn't say her face is particularly tanned either. So I don't know. Like her hands, it's exactly what it looks like. Like she's applied fake tan, but like hasn't washed off properly. But hey, it's healthier than sunbed, so good on Dina for that.
Yeah. So because you used to go to the sunbed, didn't you? We lived in Aberdeen.
You fucking prick! I knew you would bring this up. I fucking knew you would bring this up. Right.
You used to have a nickname, didn't you?
Well, yeah. Some of our friends still do call me Suntan. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yes, I did because I got caught going to sunbeds. Right. The reason being, this would have been back in like 2004, I think. So we're going back nearly 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. I was going on holiday to visit my sister in Dubai. It was before I lived there. So I was living in Aberdeen. It was winter. I was going out for Christmas. Hadn't seen any sun since fucking July, living in Aberdeen. And I thought, right, I'm going there. I was going there for like 3 weeks. And I was like, right, I don't want to get burnt or I want to get a good tan when I'm there. So I think a girl at work had said to me, like, you should go for a sunbed to, get like a base kind of layer so that you're ready to go when you're there.
Yeah.
So that is exactly what I did. I went to a sunbed and I had a couple of sunbeds before I went to Dubai because just to get ready and prepared for the tan. Then I went to Dubai and got a lovely tan, came back and everyone complimented me on my tan. And so when it started to fade a little bit, I thought I would top it up. Now, there was 2 reasons for this. The first one was that obviously I wanted to look good and I wanted to top up my tan. The second reason was that the girl that worked in the sunbed shop was very cute and I enjoyed going in and flirting with her quite a bit. So nothing ever happened, never asked her out, because I guess she probably got it like constantly. But, I used to go and have a little flirt with her and then I would just nip in a sunbed. But yes, I got caught one day because a couple of our friends drove past just at the perfect timing and they saw me going into the sunbed shop. So yeah, I was outed as a sunbed user. And I don't think that was probably the last time I used. I don't think I've ever been back since. So yeah.
Much easier to not get caught eating carrots,
Yeah, I could have done. Actually, I do like carrots. So yeah, maybe I should have just done that. I should have just eaten a load of carrots and would have been a lot easier. So
your secret shame.
my secret sunbed shame. Maybe I could sell my story to the Sun there. My secret sunbed shame. I was outed as a sunbed user, but secretly I was just trying to fire into the girl behind the counter. Anyway, so yeah, that was the secret of my year-round tan. People did ask me, "Oh God, you keep a tan really well." I was like, "Yeah, I do," because I've been topping it up with sunbeds. But yes, we don't condone the use of sunbeds, obviously, because they're not very healthy. So if you want a year-round tan, eat some carrots. That's what Dina tells us all to do. And hey, she's doesn't know, if you want your hands to look like you've applied fake tan badly, then go for that, or go for a spray tan or something instead. It's a lot healthier too. Anyway, okay, Greg, what else have you seen this week?
Well, my next story is the type of story that we've not had for quite a while in the Culture Swally. We did go through, for a couple of years, like almost every couple of weeks, we had a story about people getting caught, like shagging, or people getting caught like wanking or whatever, but we haven't had as many, and I don't think we've had one of like a couple at it for a while. So this comes from the Scottish Sun, and the headline reads, "Bunker Up." Shocking moment, brazen couple have sex in a bunker on one of Scotland's most famous golf courses. A woman in a hiked up red dress was filmed straddling a man wearing a tuxedo style suit as he lay back at night. One of the greensmen, taking a picture, put it on maybe Twitter or something with the headline, "Finishing up work at the old course and saw this in the road hole bunker." They were spotted an infamous sand trap on the notorious 17th road hole on the old course in Andrews, regarded as one of golf's hardest par fours. Footage was posted on social media by a stunned passerby. He's not a passerby, works in the fucking golf club.
You're still passing by.
Well, okay. The video was captioned, "Finishing up work at the old course and saw this in the road hole bunker." A source said, "It's highly embarrassing this has happened at St Andrews, given its reputation as the historic home of golf. The course has a couple of swanky restaurants, so it could be a couple who have gone for a walk after a meal and got a bit frisky. But it could also be students. A bunker seems like a funny place to have sex, given the chances of getting sand in places you don't want it." I have to agree with that. Add in the fact that it's usually freezing at night. They must have really been in the mood. There were lots of red faces at the club when the video emerged, as it doesn't sit well with their image. If they track them down, they'll be banned for life. It's not the first time bunkers have been used for a bit of rough north of the border. I know this journalist's fucking on. In 2020, Glenbervie Golf Club in Larbert in Stirlingshire reported an increasing number of messages about unwanted behaviour. They included a couple engaging in sexual relations within a bunker, brackets, yes, this was actually witnessed. Golf was first played at St Andrews around 600 years ago. I don't know if people have been having sex in bunkers for 600 years. I'm not sure.
Probably.
Probably. But the golf club has been contacted for comment, but as the time of recording, they have yet to comment on the outrage. So yeah, sex in a bunker doesn't sound like, it's like sex on the beach. It's like all sandy and, unless you put a towel down or something.
I mean, surely you're going to want to go on the green because it's nice and smooth and flat. I mean, even the rough, you're going to be beasties and stuff in there. But, I mean, the fairway would be okay as well. But in a bunker, fucking hell, yeah, it's just going to be sand everywhere. It's horrible. I couldn't think of anything worse. Like, that's just going to be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, and they'll be mortified that someone's fucking put it all over social media. Do you know what I mean?
They're probably delighted. They're Insta famous now, having sex in a bunker at St Andrews. How many people can say they've done that? Tick that off your bucket and sand list.
So famously,
it's bucket and spade, isn't it?
Yeah, bucket and spade. Yeah, famously, the future king and queen of Great Britain and the Commonwealth met at St Andrews University. Do you think William ever gave Kate one in the bunker on the golf course?
So it was the 17th hole, was it, Greg?
Yeah, apparently it's a really hard par four.
I'm not touching that. I'm not going near that at all. I know we don't live in the UK. I'm no royalist at all, but I am not speaking about whether Will's got a hole-in-one with Kate on the 17th at St Andrews, yeah, or if he got a bogey.
I mean, yeah, I think he'd definitely have been below par. I can't see him doing. I can't see him doing many more than sort of 4 or 5 strokes. Can you?
It's probably begged for a mulligan. I would say that. Oh no, it's gone off. I wasn't ready. Can I get it again?
Yeah. Oh dear. One has gone off all over one's expensive Louis Vuitton shoes.
I appear to have sliced it.
Yeah. Just as long as one keeps out of one's rough, it'll be fine.
I couldn't possibly comment on that. No, definitely couldn't comment on that. That's terrible, though. They're desecrating sacred land, effectively, Greg, because St Andrews is the home of golf, and it's an institution in Scotland, and it's effectively should have like a national kind of status. So they're desecrating, a sacred land by having sex there in the fuck bunker.
The 17th road hole fuck bunker. Yeah. Well, it wouldn't be my first choice of somewhere to have romantic relations with a young lady, put it that way.
Well, on the golf course or just in general?
Just anywhere sandy. I just wouldn't, just doesn't sound very nice. Unless, of course, you could put a beach towel down or something. But even then, you run a risk of you might get carried away and roll off by accident, and then.
But even with a towel, the sand gets over the sides, and it's just
it's windy.
And, it's just a fucking nightmare. That's why I hate the beach.
Could be a literal pain in the arse.
Yeah. I fucking hate bunkers as well. It's been a long time since I played golf, and it's my New Year's resolution. I'm going to start playing again because I really miss it. But I used to fucking hate getting in a bunker, and then I got really good at it. Actually, I got really good getting out of bunkers for a little period of time. I think because I just was in them all the time, and I practiced so much.
Are we still talking about sex here, or what?
No, I was talking about actual golf.
Oh, okay. Right, sorry.
And I got really good at it, and then I haven't played for so long. But no, not talking about sex. I'm really good at getting out of bunkers. What, having sex? Yeah, after I've had sex, I'm really good at getting out of bunkers. Yeah. That's I could think of better places than a golf course to have sex than in a bunker. But hey, fair play to them. I hope they enjoyed themselves.
Yeah, me too. Good for them. To be young and not fussy about where you get your hole.
Yeah, true. Very true.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my second story. What's your next one this week?
Well, it's been a while, Greg. But let's go to Falkirk and see what's happening in Falkirk. So, this is from the Falkirk Herald this week, and the headline: Sheriff bans man from Falkirk Library after threats over knitting group. So this is Ian MacDonald, 64, ranted that Falkirk Library, where members of the group gather weekly with needles and wool to swap patterns and tips, was being run by a lesbian sisterhood. As staff tried to calm the 6'2" MacDonald, he threatened to squash project lead librarian Tanya McGillan. Falkirk Sheriff heard today that this incident happened on Thursday, May the 11th of this year. Prosecutor Amy Snedden and MacDonald approached Miss Milligan's colleague, librarian Amanda Webb. Miss Snedden said, "He inquired about the Women's Knitting Club, which takes place at the library, referring to them as old fogies. He was asked to desist from this behaviour, but again expressed his displeasure about the group to Miss Webb. MacDonald said that he was the library's main customer and complained, how can you be the main customer of a library? And explained that the establishment was run by women who he believed were against him. He was asked to take a seat whilst Miss Milligan, the manager, was called. When she arrived, MacDonald repeated that he wasn't happy about the library being run by women and that they should do what he told them to do. Miss Snedden said he was asked to leave the premises, but began speaking over the staff, ranting and shouting. He said that they were just like the Nazis and that the library was run by a lesbian sisterhood. Miss Snedden said MacDonald continued ranting that women were inferior to men and should do as they were told. This continued for 10 minutes, until MacDonald heard staff ringing the police, and he left. He was arrested nearby and told police after caution, "These lesbians are just being petty. They don't know..."
For goodness sake.
These lesbians are just being petty. They don't know who they're messing with. They're in trouble when I get out of prison. MacDonald of Milne Place, Karen, admitted breach of the peace. Solicitor advocate Martin Morrow, defending, said, "All of this rather remarkable situation arose without any particular reason at all. In a situation where Mr. MacDonald was in the library every day. He's an articulate and intelligent man and remorseful about things. There has been no repetition." He's like, I can imagine not. Sheriff Craig Harris deferred sentence on MacDonald and told him he will receive social work support and to return to the court in 6 months. He has banned him from entering the library in the meantime, and he told him somebody who acts this way towards library staff could expect a prison sentence. So, Greg, it would appear that Falkirk Library is ran by some sort of lesbian knitting mafia.
It's just like the Nazis.
Yeah, just like the Nazis. And Mr. MacDonald believes that women should do what he tells them to do. I mean, this is just a grumpy old man.
He sounds lovely, doesn't he?
He sounds like an absolute fucking rocket. I mean, and, he's only 64. It's not that old in terms of, for his beliefs to be that way.
Not these days.
No, it's not. It's absolutely ridiculous behaviour. So one question I have is, why is a knitting group meeting in a library? Because knitting's can be quite loud with all the clacking. But I don't know if they are actually knitting, but they're swapping tips and patterns and stuff. But still, they're meeting in the library. It's a local place, but he, for some reason, has taken offence to these women being there and says that they're a lesbian sisterhood.
Maybe they're blocking the Harold Robbins books that he wants to take home for a posh wank. I think that's a problem. That's by himself. Yeah.
He's desperate to get to the Wilbur Smith and go home and have a little read of that. But
he just kind of get near the Jelly Cooper books because these women are blocking the aisle with their noisy knitting needles. Doesn't want to be seen taking a copy of Riders down off the shelf to.
Do you think that's what Ian MacDonald 64 is reading? Do you think he's reading Riders by Jilly Cooper and going home and having a wank whilst watching the 340 at Ascot and imagining he's the stable boy or something?
But maybe, I don't know, who knows? Maybe he lives alone. Maybe he's a lonely guy, just wanted a bit of attention.
Well, he probably is if he's at the library every day. Why would you go to the library every day? Like, surely you would get a book, unless you read a book a day, but then you would take 2 books. That would do you 2 days. But I guess maybe he is lonely and just he gets out for the company. But if you're getting out for the company, surely you don't abuse the people that are there by comparing them to Nazis, calling them a lesbian sisterhood, and telling the lead librarian that he's going to squash her.
Yeah. I mean, that's the sort of tragedy of it is, if he does go to the library because he's lonely and whatnot, he lives by himself, he's now going to be banned from the library. So it's like one more place that he can't go, because the good thing about the library is it doesn't cost anything. You know what I mean? As long as you return your books on time, it's free, right? Unless you want to hire like a DVD or a CD or a video game or something. If you're just going there for the books, it doesn't cost anything. And
he's their main customer, Greg, so he says.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. I mean, so yeah, people are weird. But yeah, it sounds to me like he's maybe a bit lonely and maybe he's a few waves short of a shipwreck. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. Well, poor Ian, I hope you get the help you need, and I'll keep an eye on the Falkirk Herald and see your sentencing has been deferred for 6 months, so we're looking at April. So I'll keep an eye on the Falkirk Herald around about April and see what's happening then. I mean,
I quite miss it. I think I was still going to the library to get books out before I left the UK to come to the Middle East, because we had the library. Yeah, for sure. Like when I was in Aberdeen, I was a member of the public library in Aberdeen, and that's a fucking brilliant library. Yeah. Because the good thing about a library is you can take your time, and you might end up taking a book out and reading that it would never have occurred to you to. Because if you're going to buy a book, it's a bit harder to make your mind up because you're parting with cash for the book, unless you know what book you're going for. Whereas at the library, you got nothing to lose. If you see something you like the look of, you take it home, you read it, you didn't enjoy it, so it didn't cost you anything. Just take it back, get something else out.
Yeah, true.
Perfect arrangement. But they don't have any libraries here, unfortunately, so I'll have to buy my books.
There is a big Dubai library.
Yeah, but it'll be all Arabic books, won't it?
No, I think they've got lots of English books as well.
Oh, have they? Maybe I'll go and join the Dubai library.
It's on Al Wasl Road.
Yeah, but they'll charge because it's Dubai. It won't be free there, will it? You have to pay.
I don't know. Well, you'd have to look that up.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to do you a public service here. You said you were missing it so much. Oh, I miss my library so much. Well, go and fucking join it then.
I do. Oh well.
Anyway, have you seen anything else this week, Greg?
Just a very quick one. It's not it's sort of good news story. It's a sort of thing that we all dream of happening. A double glazing salesman called Fraser. He collects Macallan whiskey memorabilia as opposed to the actual whiskey, and he struck gold because he found a rare display case which turns out is worth £140, and he got it for less than £200 off eBay. He comes from Speyside, Fraser.
Sorry,
he began.
Did you just say he bought it for £200, but it's worth £140?
It's £140,000.
Oh, you said £140.
Oh,
so that's why. That's why I was confused.
Yeah, sorry, 140,000.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so he began collecting Macallan memorabilia after developing a taste for the 10-year-old Macallan. He was scouring through eBay for branded merchandise, and he spotted a listing for an empty display case. On closer inspection, he recognised it as belonging to a bottle of the Macallan 1926 60-year-old whiskey. So this is whiskey from 1866, with a label designed by Valero Adami. The whiskey itself came from the legendary cask 263. It filled only 40 bottles worldwide, but only 12 of the bottles had the Valero Adami label on it. The double glazing salesman, he placed a winning bid of £199 and was fair chuffed when he won it off eBay. He explained, "My whiskey collecting began when my wife presented me with a Macallan Private Eye, the perfect gift, but one I thought far too special to break the seal of, so I turned my collecting interests more to merchandise and memorabilia. I'd always appreciated the brilliance of McLaren branding and advertising, so finding and collecting the treasures from beer mats to bridge cards and a study of Albanian shopping malls, weird thing to say, was a pure joy. There's been much discussion between my wife and I as to what constitutes an obsession, or in her words, what is passion. When checking eBay one day, I could not believe my own eyes. The first image was a close-up of a tiny plaque inscribed with 4 numerals, 1926. I knew immediately where the plaque belonged, and I opened the set of images. There it was, attached to the $1 million Macallan box. The case was missing the plinth, and it had a hole bored in the bottom, but it was undoubtedly the original home for one of the fabled 1926 Macallan bottles. 10 years later, Fraser decided it was time to sell some of his collection, and so he got in touch with a broker called Mark Littler to get a valuation. He was shocked to discover that the industry expert valued the case at £138,600, despite the fact that there was no bottle of whiskey in it. Mark said, "That's quite a difficult item to value. However, bottles of rare single malt whiskey missing their box regularly sell for between 15 and 30% less than those with their original box at auction. The £138,000 figure is based on 15% of the last bottle of 1926 Valero Adami that sold for £924,000. I understand that the valuation of the case might raise eyebrows, and it's important to highlight the distinct nature of rare whiskey collecting. The price tag, although an undeniably divisive price for a case, reflects the rarity and the desirability of the Macallan 1926 60-year-old whiskey. For the individual who possesses the corresponding Macallan bottle, missing its original case, this box is not just packaging, it's a vital piece of the whiskey's legacy, rendering it priceless. This is the box for the most expensive whiskey in the world. It is not the type of bottle you would open and drink, so where is the missing bottle that belongs to the case? The eBay seller that Fraser purchased the case from is probably as sick as a fucking dog reading this, was located in the south coast of England, so perhaps the bottle's there. Maybe someone has the bottle by inheritance and is completely unaware of its value. My advice would be to check the labels on any Macallan. You could have a fortune sitting on your shelf. So have you got any old bottles of Macallan whiskey in your drinks cabinet, Nicky?
No, I don't at all. No.
It's too bad.
Not at all. No. What about yourself?
No, unfortunately, if someone buys me a bottle of Macallan whiskey, I've usually tanned it within a couple of weeks. Because it is one of the malts that I really do like.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think we spoke about this before in the Swally, but certainly you and I collect different things between us. We dream of finding something for a bargain, somewhere in the world and it being worth an absolute fortune. That's the collector's dream.
Of course. You want to stumble across something that someone has and they don't know what it's worth.
You can just shiv them.
Yeah. Basically. Yeah, exactly. That's what you want. That's the dream.
Anyway, that was my last story.
Fantastic, Greg. Well, if you have seen anything in the news you'd like us to cover, or if you've got anything you'd like us to cover on the Culture Swally, you can get in touch with us on cultureswally@gmail.com, or you can follow us on the socials. We're on Insta @cultureswallypod, or we are on X, formerly known as Twitter, @swallypod. Now, before we go into what we're going to be talking about today, let's have a little word from our sponsors. And our sponsor on this episode is Doric Skateboards. Doric Skateboards is a skateboard brand created by Gary Kemp, whose main focus is to explore the people and culture of Aberdeen and the northeast of Scotland, and to create designs that reflect that area. Doric Skateboards screen print their own decks in their studio by Gary's fair hand, and they've produced some amazing designs over the years, including an Annie Lennox inspired board, a Robert the Bruce deck, and a Plenty of Pop deck inspired by the old Bonnecord trucks that used to drive around Aberdeen delivering fizzy drinks. Doric Skateboards also replicate these amazing designs onto their clothing on 100% organic cotton tees, hoodies and sweatshirts, and you can fill your boots on stickers, pin badges, beanies, caps and a whole lot more. Gary regularly collaborates with local artists to ensure he brings the latest designs to the market, but always with a Doric twist, including their amazing new Northfield Tower design. Check out Doric Skateboards for yourself on doricskateboards.com and follow them on Instagram @Doric Skateboards to see the amazing designs that they have on offer. And we are delighted to be able to offer you 15% off as listeners to this podcast. All you need to do is head to doricskateboards.com, have a look at the amazing decks, stickers, badges, hoodies, tees and hats, everything they have on offer, and enter the promo code SWALLY. That's SWALLY, all in block capitals. Same with the name of this podcast, to get your 15% off. That's doricskateboards.com.
Okay, so it was your turn this week, Nikki, to choose our film. So what are we talking about today?
Well, Greg, today this episode will be going out on St. Andrew's Day, the patron saint of Scotland. So I've picked something featuring the patron saint of the Swally, James Cosmo. So today we're going to be looking at the 2018 Netflix film, Outlaw King, directed by David Mackenzie, who we have featured on the pod recently when we covered his film Young Adam, and set in Scotland during the 14th century. The story of Outlaw King follows the Scottish king, Robert the Bruce, who starts a rebellion against the English Empire after the fall of William Wallace, and leads his small group of fighters in a battle against the much larger and better equipped English cavalry. Starring Chris Pine, Florence Pugh, Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Tony Curran, and of course, James Cosmo. I saw the film online referred to as Braveheart 2 Scottish Boogaloo. It was my first viewing, Greg, because you know I have an aversion to things set before the 1960s. Despite the fact that I do love Braveheart and I love Rob Roy, and spoiler alert, I loved this. But you watched this when it first came out, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I was anticipating this film, but I was sort of nervously anticipating it because, you know, Braveheart casts a big shadow. It's great fun, Braveheart, but you know, if you sort of look under the film's fingernails, you know, there's a lot. It's a wee bit. It's sort of like fun, like a kind of film like Ben-Hur or the Ten Commandments or something like that, only with more people getting decapitated and stabbed in the bollocks. And then, you know, famously, it takes a lot of liberties with the history that it's based on. So with this one, I was kind of, I sort of saw it as a bit of a spiritual sequel to Braveheart, which it is in quite a lot of ways. You know, it sort of follows on in that timeline. And I was really worried that it would be rubbish, especially when I saw that Chris Pine, famously American actor, Captain Kirk, probably his most famous part. He's also in Wonder Woman with Matt Costello.
Who amazingly is not in this.
Yeah, like perhaps one of the few Scottish actors not to get called up for it. And so I was a bit nervous about it, but I thought, you know, I'll go in with the right intentions, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Yeah. I was a bit disappointed that it didn't go as far in the sort of history of Robert the Bruce as as I felt it should have done. But I thought Chris Pine thought his Scottish accent wasn't bad for an American. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. And
I thought his Scottish accent was great. I mean, I'll be honest. I read a lot of criticism online about his Scottish accent, and it was all from Americans, funnily enough. Like, anything I read from a Scots person said his accent's good. But every American review I read or watched on YouTube or listened to on a podcast, like, his Scottish accent's terrible. And I'm like, it's pretty good. One person I listened to did kind of give it away because they were like, yeah, it's not like overpronounced. And I'm like, right, you're expecting Groundskeeper Willie, aren't you?
Yeah.
That's what you're expecting, where he's got like a soft kind of Edinburgh brogue accent in this film. You know the good thing about it, though? It was consistent. He kept it up the whole... It didn't go up or down or waver. He kept the same accent the whole film, and that's why it worked. And I took my hat off to him for his accent. He kept it simple, and it worked. Didn't take me out of it.
Yeah, and you could say, Robert the Bruce came from a rich family, well educated for the time, well raised. There's an argument to say, well, that's why he speaks with a softer accent and etc.
Well, he would have done because he was a lowlander, so he would have spoken with it. In fact, the argument is he would have actually probably spoken French, because that's what he was. But obviously, he would have spoken with a kind of softer Scottish brogue. To pick up on your point earlier, I mean, there's no avoiding. This is constantly going to be compared to Braveheart, especially by non-Scottish audiences. And I've seen that a lot online. People, that's exactly why I said Braveheart to Scottish Boogaloo. It's impossible not to compare the films, but although Braveheart, it really has its place, and it will always hold a special place in my heart. But we both agree that it's a fucking ridiculous film in terms of the historical inaccuracies and the ridiculousness, and it's Mel Gibson, and it's just ridiculous. Whereas Outlaw King is a really gritty, more realistic film. And I watched an interview with David Mackenzie, a director, and he said that I can't believe for one second he really did think this, but he came across so sincere in the interview. He thought, I didn't even think about Braveheart when I was filming this, and I didn't even think people would bring up the comparison. But it seems every interview I've done, people are linking it, but this is very much its own film. And it's true, it is. And I think for me, and I guess you probably agree, I don't know if you agree, but I'm putting words in your mouth there, but one of the worst things about Braveheart is the portrayal of Robert the Bruce as a traitor against William Wallace, which was just not true. And this, I think, kind of rectifies that by showing that, I mean, Wallace isn't in his arm is, but he's not in the film. Apparently he was in the original 4-hour cut of this film. Right. Because the original version was 4 hours long, and William Wallace was in it. But... It was cut back. The original version was 4 hours long. Then Mackenzie cut it back to 2.5 hours. And that was screened at the Toronto Film Festival. And it got pretty shitty reviews. And then he cut it back to the 2 hours, 1 minute that we have seen on Netflix. And the critics actually reevaluated it and were like, yeah, this is a lot better, actually. I really like this film now. And we'll come to that. I do think there are some pacing issues in this film. But I really like it. I think it's a lot more kind of gritty and real than Braveheart, but then you're comparing completely different timelines. Braveheart was 96, 95, 95.
Yeah.
You're speaking nearly, 23 years difference. Films have evolved so much more. I had to do the quick math there. Filmmaking and films have evolved so much that it's different that you're expecting. And I think nowadays you do want a more gritty, realistic film, and this delivers it in droves, doesn't it?
Well, the thing is, I recently read Neil Oliver, the Scottish historian. He's become a bit of a divisive sort of personality. Neil Oliver in the UK. He's he's sort of kind of leans a wee bit to the right, but he made a documentary must be about 20 years ago, called A History of Scotland, and it was really good. And I read the accompanying book, which is written by him only a few months ago. And this sort of part of history in Scotland, from sort of John Beloy all the way up to James the First of Anyway, it was James IV of Scotland, but it became James I of England, the son of Mary, Queen of Scots. It's quite an interesting and exciting part of history, and it lends itself incredibly well to like a historical epic, like this and like Braveheart, And you don't really need to take a great, based on what I read in Neil Oliver's book, you don't need to take a great deal of liberty with any of the events because, it's like every sort of year or two, there's like some huge incident, whether it's a battle, somebody getting chibbed in a church, somebody getting thrown out of a window at Stirling Castle or something like that. And what I liked about this film, although it's not like they obviously Robert the Bruce is the hero of the film, so he has to behave like a hero. The reality is that the historians suspect that Bruce was probably quite cold and ambitious.
He was a bit of an arsehole, I think.
Yeah, well, we probably know more than any other sort of person in power back in those days. He wanted to rule Scotland and he wanted the financial, he came from money and he wanted his position to be secure. And, he probably stepped over quite a few people to do it, like famously John Cromlin, who he did stab to death in a church. And I did wonder if they would show that in the film, and I did wonder how they would reconcile that with the Robert the Bruce in this film being this amazing sort of freedom fighter and man of the people as he's portrayed to be in the movie. And the thing is, he does, Cromlin tells him that he's going to shop him to Edward, and he just fucking stabs him. And then the priest is like, confess, and he absolves him, and everybody just gets on with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair, it was kind of Cromlin was very much right, you're going to try and overthrow Edward, I'm going to go and tell him, he's going to hang you, and I'll get the crown. So it's very much right, it's me or you. Like, he's going to go and tattletale, I'm going to get hung, might as well just fucking kill him. And then, thankfully, Ron Donaghy's like, it's fine. Just fucking let him off with it. It's fine. Yeah. Just do a confession, you're absolved. It's fine. It's okay. A little bit of banter.
That actor wasn't even Scottish anyway. So, I thought they did sort of, they kind of hurried past that, which I suppose they kind of had to, really. But apparently, by all accounts, Cromlin was a more popular sort of choice for King than Bruce was, by all accounts, which is probably why he really stabbed him. But no, I think coming back to the pacing, that you mentioned the other David Mackenzie film that we covered quite recently, Young Adam, in the summer, and I mean, we spoke a lot about it and how much we both enjoyed the film, but his pacing of that film is very deliberate, and he really takes his time to tell the story and get the performances out of the actors in that film. And with a film like this, it doesn't surprise me that there's a 4-hour cut of this somewhere, because I suspect that his tendency, based on Young Adam, is he wanted to have a lot more of the politics and the talking and all that sort of thing, and whereas, because people would have an expectation of this film, as I did, thinking it'd be like Braveheart, you kind of want to get to the battles, which are really, really well done. The battle scenes are fantastic in it. Like, to your point, they're very realistic. Braveheart, some of the battle scenes were a wee bit, there were some great moments, but if you look in the background, it's just extras sort of banging swords together. Do you know what I mean? And so they're not a bit cartoony, whereas the violence in this is really visceral and really quite uncomfortable at times. But you kind of just want to get to that, So I understand why people maybe weren't that enamoured of a big long 4-hour cut. And if you wanted to tell a story like that, then maybe some sort of limited TV show would have been a better option. It might have suited them better.
Yeah, I think, this would have been suited, I think, for like a 4 or 6 part kind of HBO series. Like, it would have gone down really well. However, don't get me wrong in terms of the pacing. Like, I think it's great because I like a nice tight film. Because similar to Braveheart, there are quite a few scenes you're like, I could do without that. Whereas here, it just seems like it is just like bang, 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 bang. Like, all right, Cosmo's dead. Great. Okay, bang. On to the next one. King Edward's literally just says, yeah, I kind of stumbled the other day. Like, I wonder if I'm okay. Next scene, he's dead. Like, bang. No fucking around. We'll come on to fucking Black Duncan later on when he's just like, I'm going to go and take my castle. Can I get 3 men? Take 5. Bang. Next scene, he's got 5 men right outside the castle. And you're like, normally in a film, there would be like at least 5 minutes here of kind of build up or something. But it's like, no fucking around. Can I take 5 men? It's a day's walk away. Yeah, take 5 men. Okay, cool. Bang. They're right outside the castle. Bang. They're in the castle. Bang. There's no fucking around here. It just is straight. And it's 2 hours and 1 minute long, but there's no fat. I mean, one of the longest scenes really is probably the sex scene that kind of like does go on maybe a bit too long in terms of the pacing. But I guess you've paid for Florence Pugh, you might as well show as much as you can. But there is, I think the pacing actually works because of it's just, getting there and just, it's just constant. You mentioned the battle scenes earlier. I mean, we'll probably come back to them later on, but that's one thing. Braveheart, it is very much, and again, it's of its time because there's 23 years difference, but the Braveheart scenes, it's all over the top kind of slash, and okay, there's a lot of gore in Braveheart, but a lot of it does seem kind of over the top. Yeah. Whereas there's a lot of gore in this, but it's kind of realistic, and you don't see like legs getting chopped off or heads getting chopped off. It's almost more realistic if you know what I mean. But what I loved about the battle scenes here, they just look fucking dirty, and there's just dirt and blood everywhere, and you kind of at times you're not knowing where to look because there's so much action going on. Everyone in the background is fighting, and it's just battle. And the one thing I absolutely loved is after every battle scene, everyone looks just fucking knackered. Which is realistic. If you've just been fighting for like 3-4 hours, you're going to be fucked. Because the thing is, probably the most famous battle that we see in Braveheart is the Battle of Stirling, although it's actually the Battle of Stirling Bridge, if you want to get all historical and be accurate about it. But it's on like a lovely sunny day, you know what I mean? Like lovely blue sky, lovely just cut field of grass and everything. Like the big battle in this, toward the end, it feels like you're in Scotland because it's been pissing with rain. The sky's like all like that low sort of heavy cloud sky, late afternoon, early evening. You know what I mean? The field's all waterlogged, and like to your point, people are fucking up to their tits in bloody mud and blood and everything, and it's a real, they're sort of really struggling together. There's no sort of heroic sort of William Wallace with his big sword running in and lopping off legs and heads and everything. It's like everyone's like on top of each other and scrambling over each other. And there's a bit with Black Douglas is like hitting people with his sort of chainmail cowl because he's lost his sword, and they're just hitting each other with whatever they can get to hand. There's no chivalry. He's with 1 minute he's got his sword, next minute he's got his sword, and he's got like a small knife as well and everything. And you do feel like, well, when these guys in reality went to battle, they're fighting for their fucking lives. So it's whatever, if they've got to pick up a boulder off the ground and they brain somebody with it, or strangle them or drown them in mud or whatever, they're going to do whatever it takes because it's sort of that, it's kind of him or them, and you get a real sense of that in this film. No, there's no like epic swinging your broadsword around like you're on the front cover of Hero Quest. You are just fucking battering the sword any way you can, fighting dirty. And as you say, in terms of the landscape, as Robert the Bruce beautifully says, they would take our land, but they don't know our land.
Yeah.
We'll not try and match strength, we'll use the land to our advantage. And it's a beautiful moment when the English are charging and then it just starts pissing with rain, and you just see Chris Pine smile as if to be like, fuck it, we fucking got you. We've got you because we know how to work under these conditions. We fucking got you. It's like, it's like if a team from Tenerife United come and play Aberdeen at Pittodrie and it's snowing, we're like, we fucking got you because we know how to play you on this turf. But I thought the battle scenes were fantastic. So obviously the film tells the story of Robert the Bruce. It's kind of the royalty in Scotland has died. Scotland needs to crown a new king. I think it was I don't know who it was, to be honest. I should have looked that up. But it was a young queen who died, drowned.
It was John Bolloy had been the last king who had died, and he had left Scotland with no king. So the nobles asked Edward to help them choose a monarch. And Edward, I'm paraphrasing here, basically said, no need for that. I'll just rule. Yeah. I'll just rule. So then there was a rebellion led by Wallace, which obviously failed. So the start of the film has the remaining Scottish nobles who didn't rebel, pledging a sort of renewed allegiance to Edward. But obviously, even though they've done that, there is dissension amongst some who feel that Edward has no rule over Scotland, and Scotland should crown its own king.
And
but
you
who to crown?
You do get the feeling, as Comlin kind of says, like, we're tired of fighting. Like, we've tried it. Wallace tried it, and we failed.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, we're done. We can't be arsed. But it does take the death of Wallace to kind of trigger, because Robert is kind of going along with the status quo. You can tell he's kind of not happy with it, but he'll go along with it because it's what his dad wants. Yeah. But then obviously his dad dies, and then it's kind of like, and then when they kill Wallace, he's like, right, fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's just fucking do it.
His dad sort of sows, brilliantly played by Cosmo, because he starts off with, look, we need to just, he's an old friend of Edward's. He's been away crusading with them when they were younger, and he says that we just need to toe the line. This would be great. It'd be good for all of us. Edward will, he'll, when things settle down, he'll help us it'll be us. He'll help us. He'll put us in power. Blah blah blah. And then the last scene that we see with Cosmo and Pine before Cosmo's character passes away, is like, not sure that we can trust Edward, and he sows the seeds. Then that's him sort of he's kind of given Bruce permission to go after his ambitions. I mean, despite the fact that him and Edward trained a monkey to shoot a bow and arrow and ride a horse. Yeah, that's pub talk, isn't it? Oh, here, see this. See, I was in Gibraltar, right? And me and my buddy, we fucking knocked one of the monkeys. Do you see the monkeys that are cutting about all the time? Knocked one of them and took up to the hotel. See, by the end of the week, it was fucking making cocktails and everything, man. See the birds we pulled because of that monkey? Untold, by the way. So you think that's Cosmo on his deathbed, just giving his son a wee bit of a drunken patter to impress him? Yeah. About a monkey trained to shoot a bow and arrow. He's fucking off his tits on poppy milk, so it's just not what he's saying.
Did I ever tell you the time, Robert, when I went to the Holy Land to fight? I bought a small monkey on a chain. Moses, the Christendom. Over the hours, me and King Edward spent training Moses. In the end, he could ride a horse. He could even fire a tiny bow and arrow that Edward himself had fashioned.
So obviously leads Robert the Bruce to lead up a rebellion against the English, which obviously is the rest of the film, effectively. Yep. So I guess to talk about the cast, I mean, we've got Chris Pine as Robert the Bruce. A bit of a strange choice. Again, so this is the third kind of film we've covered in this vein. Yeah. On the Swally, Braveheart, Rob Roy, and now this. Outlaw King, and none of the leads have been Scottish. Why? I mean, okay, we could go back to this time, but at this time, there were quite a few candidates that could have probably played Robert the Bruce. However, I won't take anything against Chris Pine. He's fucking great in this.
He's great. He's great in it. I think I was listening to the Rewatchables this week's episode, and it's about Robin Hood's Prince of Thieves, and they're talking about, how Kevin Costner came to play Robin Hood, and they're like, it's like one of those characters where people, how do you fancy playing Robin Hood? Oh, yeah. Or how do you fancy playing Batman? Or how do you fancy playing Superman or Elliot Ness? Or these sort of like either real life or mythical sort of heroes? And I wonder, Did
you say Superman's a real life hero, effectively?
I said, or mythical heroes, I said. Okay. But like with Neeson doing Rob Roy, I sort of get it because, you know, he's Irish, and Scottish and Irish history is quite interlinked, like for good and for bad. So Rob Roy is obviously a classic, although he's a real guy, he's sort of like a classic romantic hero because of the Walter Scott book. So I understand Neeson, you know, I do fancy playing Rob Roy, because like Neeson at that time, he was still riding high off Schindler's List. You know, then you got Gibson doing Braveheart. I mean, at that time, Mel Gibson could do whatever the fuck he wanted. He was arguably one of, if not, you know, certainly one of the most famous Hollywood stars in the world before he completely fucked it.
Are there any Jews in Scotland? No? Okay.
We're going. And then, you know, you got Chris Pine, who he's already played an iconic character in his career. He's done 3 Star Trek films playing Captain Kirk, the only other actor to play Captain Kirk apart from Shatner. And it's like, you know, how do you fancy playing this real hero of Scottish history? And he, you know, he's probably read about Robert the Bruce and thought to himself, fucking yeah, let me see if I can get the Scottish accent down, and then sign me up. Sounds great, you know. And I totally understand. But it makes the film very bankable. You know, he's a better actor than, say, Gerard Kelly. I can sort of imagine Gerard Kelly doing it, actually. Gerard Kelly.
Gerard Kelly. I would fucking love to see Gerard Kelly as Robert Bruce. Fucking dancing about. Oh, there's a wee spider there. Oh, no.
I'll never get out this cave as long as that spider's there. Gerard... Of course, I meant to say Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
You know, I don't imagine.
I'm just going to be thinking all day about Gerard Kelly. It's Robert
the Bruce. Here you English bastard.
There's definitely a different reason he wouldn't be sleeping with Florence Pugh on the wedding night. Yeah.
Yes, I know. So I could, you know, and then McGregor, probably too expensive at this point. He probably wouldn't want to do it anyway. It's not really his cup of tea these days to do something.
He's a bit too
like
old
that
as well. He's not the right fit for it, I would say.
Yeah, maybe a bit old.
The only one I would have thought of maybe would have been like Richard Madden, I think might have been, but is he a bit too wee, possibly, and a bit too... I think
Richard Madden's problem, and he's a good actor, he's a great actor, but he's not a very charming actor. It's rarely he plays the hero. Like in Game of Thrones, I know you never really watched it, but he's like one of the prominent characters in the first 2 series, and he's supposed to be a heroic character, and he is in some ways, but he's not. You know, he's hard to warm to, and I can't imagine him leading a film like this. And you know, because you know, you need a bit of pathos, you need a bit of charisma and everything. And I'm not saying that he's not a charismatic guy. I'm sure he probably is, but as the roles that I've seen him in, you know, he never really plays characters who you really sort of root for. Do you know what I mean? In my experience, the ones I've seen him in anyway. I've not seen everything that he's done, but that's just my sort of feeling on him. He certainly looks the part, you know, sort of that. He's got dark hair, he's got kind of physical, often a kind of physical actor as well. But I think you know, in terms of what they want to do with the idea and character of Robert the Bruce, I think Pine completely gets it. You know, I think he totally understands what he's there to do. You know,
can I throw James McAvoy your way?
No, I can't imagine McAvoy. He's too wee. He's like fucking 5'5". McAvoy.
Yeah, that's true. No, look, I'm not taking anything away. I thought Chris Pine was fantastic as Robert the Bruce, and very kind of, he embodied it. Like I say, I won't hear a word said against his accent. I thought he was good. He showed passion. I watched quite a few interviews with him about the role, and he really did seem to really, you know, it wasn't just a paycheck for him. He really, he knew the history, he knew the story. He said that every day he would go in like an hour early and spend an hour with his dialect coach and practice, you know, Scottish accent. And like I say, I can't fault it. I think it's the main thing I have to say is it's consistent throughout the whole film. And that is a big thing for me.
And the thing is as well, it's consistent when he shouts. I always imagine, if you're like a gifted actor who's good at doing accents, I always imagine that the hardest part of doing it is raising your voice. And especially there are moments when he's got to shout across a battlefield in those, especially in that at the end, the final battle at the end of the film. I always imagine that must be harder. It must be harder to kind of keep your accent because, Gibson, to be fair, he does his best with his Scottish accent, and it's become a bit of something to kind of poke fun at a wee bit. But when he's shouting, it wobbles a wee bit. You can hear his sort of American, little bit of Australian twang coming through when he's shouting and doing his big rousing speech. Yeah, you sort of let it go because that speech is probably the best part of the fucking film. It just gets you going, right? But he's a lot more consistent when he's just talking at a normal volume and it's a conversational scene. Whereas Pine can do it all. It's completely consistent all the way through, regardless of what the scene calls for him to do.
I think one of Gibson's faults is especially when he's shouting "hold," because it does sound quite Australian when he's shouting that. And there's obviously a very similar scene in the final battle here. When they're advancing and they have the spears. And I did kind of laugh that Chris Pine he's not saying hold. He basically was like, wait, ready, almost. And then he does let it slip at the end. Hold. He's like, no. It's like, it's obviously trying not to say hold because it's Braveheart. And you cannot tell me for one absolute second there that was not in the mind of the director in terms of him saying he never thought about Braveheart when he was filming it, but he's purposely not let him say hold. Come on.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm absolutely sure of it. Yeah, I don't buy that. I never thought of Braveheart because, he might have had a rule on the set where he might have said, listen, do me a favour, let's not talk about Braveheart. Let's not even think about it while we're making this film. We're making our own thing here. We want to make something original, blah, 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 which you completely understand. I guarantee you there was probably people working on that film that worked on Braveheart. I'm sure of it. There'll be like these old journeyman grips and technicians and all that, but like, listen, on the set of Braveheart, Gibson was a lot nicer than this fucking Mackenzie cunt, by the way. Just wants to spend 4 hours with Chris Pine's cock out in a.
And I guess Robert's right hand man is Angus, played by Tony Curran, who
Angus Og, Lord of the Isles. To give him his full title. I'd love to be a Lord of the Isles. What a great thing to be able to call yourself.
Fucking
What's
fantastic.
what's the table booked under? Greg Hurst, Lord of the Isles. Oh yes.
You could just give yourself that title, I'm sure. You could just bestow it upon yourself.
Claim dominion over the Isles. Yeah.
Curran again is fantastic. Curran's just brilliant in everything, though, isn't he?
But Curran, I don't know. I suspect that this is probably, he's done this himself. He's not been asked to do this. So he's from the north, like Orkney, Shetland and everything. Mm-hmm. Tony Curran doesn't come from there, but he knows how those people sound. Yeah. So that's how he talks, with that soft, almost sort of musical accent that people talk like that, that people talk with up in that part of the world. The red hair, they're sort of descended from Vikings, as we know, like famously we did the Shetland episode, we spoke about the festival that they have and everything. So he's got that red hair, he's got that sort of Scottish, Scandinavian look about him. But crucially, he's doing the accent, he's talking the way that people from that part of the world talk.
Well, because I had written down initially, like when we were kind of introduced to him the first few scenes, I'm like, why is Tony Curran doing that accent? Why isn't he just doing his normal accent, which is Scottish enough to do that? And then, of course, as the film develops, we realise that he is from the Isles. And I'm like, that's fucking genius that he's been doing that. Absolute genius. And absolutely remarkable. Fantastic performance. One of the highlights for me is when
he's brilliant.
Comes off the boat and meets his wife, and she just slaps him across the face. Where the fuck have you been? You said you'd be a month. It's been 3 months. He's brilliant, and he's basically Bruce's right hand man, Angus.
Yes,
He's got so much to do with the whole film. But absolutely brilliant performance from Tony Curran.
Oh, great. He's great. There's so many good moments. It's one of those, I suppose you're kind of, a few of the important characters get sort of bumped off during the course of the film. So, when that happens in a film, you kind of think, oh, well, that's two of Bruce's brothers away. Anything could happen to anybody now. But spoilers, he's there right at the end, celebrating the victory.
You're waiting for it, aren't you? At certain points, you're thinking he's going to be gone, but no, thankfully not. And again, it's beautiful. The last battle, you just see him looking absolutely fucked. And he's given it his all, but they've prevailed and won.
Yeah, and he gets emotional, right? When he realizes that they've won, it kind of breaks down a bit and gets choked up, and you sort of imagine if you get to the end of a battle and you realize that you've still got all your arms, legs, fingers, you're not bleeding profusely, and the battle's over, and you've survived, amidst this fucking carnage, you're going to get a bit emotional, right? Like,
yeah, of course.
Footballers cry when they win the league or the Champions League or whatever, and you understand you're overtaken with the emotion. But no one's life's at stake in the final of a football game or a sporting event. But in a historical battle, he's fucking up to your knees in blood, mud, limbs and everything. You're like, fucking, how the fuck did I come through that?
Well, you and your 499 other mates have just defeated 3,000 Englishmen. You're going to be pretty chuffed with yourself and probably going to let out a little tear of just absolute emotion in terms of how delighted you are. But yeah, great character and wonderful when he's... I do love the scene with Black Duncan when he's training to fight. Black Douglas, sorry. Yeah. When he's training to fight and takes him off the horse and basically rams him in the balls. Go anywhere near my daughter again. And I'll cut these off and use them as bait.
Yeah, I love it. I love it when you get a sense that an actor really understands the part, and even and the thing is, it's a supporting part. It's not even like he's not the lead of the film or anything. No. But you get you feel that he's just a really intuitive actor. I think probably the last thing we had him in was Red Roads, where he's playing a sort of quite a complicated character in that film. And even in that film, you just feel that he understands the assignment, if you like, to kind of use a sort of kind of popular phrase, kind of gets to know the character that he's been asked to play to the nth detail. So, in this film, and I've said in the Culture Swally before, I remember meeting the actor Gary Lewis, and he had told me that he was going to be in Gangs, that he had just finished Gangs of New York, but he didn't expect his part to be left in the film because Martin Scorsese had filmed hours and hours. And then I happened to meet him again after they'd seen the film, and he's got a prominent part in the film. He's, he shares a lot of scenes with Daniel Day-Lewis, Leonardo DiCaprio and stuff, and I said to him, you remember you telling me that, and you're one of the most important characters in the film. He said, yeah, but you just never know. And, I get, and with Curran, I wonder if that he's thought that as well, that, this is a big production, we've got this Chris Pine's here, for Pugh's here, Stephen Delaney's here, like James Cosmo's here, of course, all these famous actors, and, he's like, I might not be in the film that much, just never know the choices the director makes when it comes to edit or whatever else. But he still fucking just delivers this absolutely sublime portrayal of a sort of outer Hebridean nobleman come down to fight for his country. It's fucking brilliant.
Yeah, but every day turning up to work must be amazing when you're like, okay, who's going to be here today? It's Gavin Mitchell. Hey, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you, Gavin. Oh, Rob Affleck, how you doing, buddy? Oh, good to see you. Oh, great. Oh, fantastic. Every day, just be a different Scottish actor turning up randomly.
Gilly Gilchrist.
Gilly Gilchrist, of course, yeah. It's just, full of little random, like, one-line actors, which is fucking brilliant. I mean, Rob Affleck steals it for me with his line, look at these hands, they're paws, and he goes, hi, my dad was a bear.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Okay, Florence Pugh. I really like Florence Pugh in general. I don't know if I've gone off for a little bit recently.
Ever since she put a ring through her nose.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Around about this time, this was a 3-film in a row red hot streak for her. She did Fighting with My Family, which I was a big fan of because obviously I am a big WWE fan. I've met Paige and I really like that story. Midsummer, which I think is an incredible film. Yeah. And of course this. And she's brilliant in this. And I almost wish she had a bigger part in this film because she's kind of the voice of reason, but then I'm glad she doesn't because I don't want her to drag down too much in terms of the romance storyline. But she's brilliant in this and she's such a good actress, I think.
She's the only prominent, apart from the wee girl who plays Marjorie, Bruce's daughter from his first wife, she's the only prominent female character. There's a few other ones, there's Angus's wife, who's, she's got a good scene and she gets to sing a wee song later on. There's Seamus's wife, the sort of housekeeper at the castle. And then there's Florence Pugh's mum, who we see a bit, not her mum, but her character's mum, who we see a bit later on too. And it's a very masculine film. It's, politics, as it were, back then, as it was being exclusively men, pretty much. So she's sort of got, you need an actress who's not going to fade into the background. And the thing is, physically, Florence Pugh is a tiny wee person.
Yeah.
And in the scenes that she's with Chris Pine, I mean, her forehead comes up to like his chest. Or lower, she's tiny, but she's such a like a powerful actress. You know what I mean? And especially in this, she's never really the damsel in distress, even though she's, her character goes through a fair bit of jeopardy when she's, when they're on the run after the first sort of uprising there. She's fantastic, and she's obviously beautiful as well.
Yeah,
But yeah, she's a great actress, Florence Pugh. I mean, I liked her in, I know you don't watch them anymore, but I liked her in Black Widow as Scarlett Johansson's sister. It's a good part for her. It's physical, she's funny as well. She's actually really funny in that, and they bring her character into the Hawkeye TV series as well.
I don't really watch the Marvel films anymore, but I might have to watch Black Widow because, if it's got Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh in it, then I think
David Harbour's in it as well. And Rachel Weisz.
I do like David Harbour, so that's why I'll watch it. Yeah, that's the reason that I will watch it. But yeah, I think she's great, and she delivers a little bit of, and it is very much when the film needs to kind of slow down a second.
Yeah,
you have her scenes, and I think that helps. And she delivers an amazing performance. And for me, one of the best scenes of the film is when she's being kind of forced to sign her annulment by Edward II and her parents, and just the beautiful way that she just catches on when Edward says, well, he'll be dead anyway. And she just bursts out laughing in terms of when she's like, well, why do you need me to sign this because he's dead? Oh, wait a minute. He's got you running scared, hasn't he?
Come now. Robert will soon be dead, and you can go home to your family.
If he will soon be dead, then why force me to forsake him? He's continuing to evade you, isn't he?
Why do you laugh at me?
She's great. And I think it's with her as well. I think there's a wee bit of poshness, I think, to Florence Pugh. Like I can kind of imagine her doing like a bit of Shakespeare and stuff when she's at drama school and everything, and maybe comes from, a fairly nice, well-to-do kind of family. So when she getting her teeth into like a role where she plays a noblewoman that comes from sort of medieval English aristocracy and stuff, it feels like it's a bit of kind of bread and butter for her, that it's something that she knows that she can do really well. Whereas something like Midsommar that requires her to, how do you say it, Midsommar? Midsommar. It requires it to be sort of traumatized at the beginning of the film, have an American do an American accent. I mean, in that film, I watched that, and it's quite long. But it's one of those films that you watch, and you sort of can't stop thinking about it. For like a few days, it's like The Wicker Man, I suppose, but it sort of takes the kind of unsettling elements of The Wicker Man and the sort of surreal elements and kind of turns it right up, and adds like a fair bit of body horror and stuff in there as well. But it really stays with you,
I'd say it's almost the closest I've been to the first time I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre in terms of just being unsettled of the people like this actually exist.
Yeah.
And The Wicker Man as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can be like, this is disturbing. People like this do actually exist. That's why this is so disturbing. And this is why this is so...
because when you see a movie that you really enjoy, and maybe one that that surprises you and is like how much you've enjoyed it, it's it's kind of pleasurable to kind of think back on it over the next few days and be like, oh, fucking, yeah, I really liked that. I really liked that bit, and I really liked his performance, really liked whatever. But like a film like that, you're like, I don't really want to think about this movie. You sort of find yourself in your quiet moments kind of thinking about some of the more disturbing parts of it, and you're like, oh, fucking hell. And it really takes like a bit of time to sort of wash it off. You know what I mean?
Okay, so we have, I'm purposely leaving him for last. We have Stephen Delane as King Edward, and I've never watched Game of Thrones. I've watched the first episode. I didn't like it, but apparently he is quite a big deal in Game of Thrones, is he? So
he's fucking great in it. He's really good in it, actually. And he's good in this. I mean, like that character in Braveheart is a fun character, but it's kind of what's his name? Patrick. Fuck.
Yeah, it's Patrick McGannigan or something.
Patrick McGowan. Yeah. He's a joy to watch, but he goes over the top a bit with it, sort of real sinister pantomime almost baddie, whereas
it's very smelling the glove, like what has Wallace done now?
Whereas Delaney's kind of, his character's a lot more ambiguous because he's quite reasonable at the beginning. He's like, come on. You had the courage to stand up to me. You had the wisdom to surrender, whatever he says to the Bruce. Can't remember exactly. But like, we're all friends again. Let's have a fucking party. Look at this cool catapult that I've brought. That it took 4 hours to set up.
The Warwolf.
The Warwolf, like the Greek fire. But he's great, and he's particularly good in the scenes with Billy Thingy that plays Billy Howell that plays his son, because he's a real disappointment to him, and you kind of get the feeling that he has a disappointment, but he knows he's his son, and he wants him to be a good successor to him.
Yeah, of course.
So I'll give you your chance. How are you going to sort this Scottish problem out? Blah blah blah. And I think he brings a much much realer portrayal than what we've seen before. But he's still ruthless. He has that uncompromising sort of quality that you would expect these successful old medieval monarchs probably had. And
I think. Yeah, you're right in terms of the relationship he has with his son, because it's the same, like Billy Howell plays Edward II in a completely different way as we see in Braveheart. So, because Braveheart, he is literally an effeminate Nancy boy, stereotypical 1995 homosexual.
Medieval homosexual.
You would never see on screen nowadays. Whereas Billy Howell plays him so well in terms of he's an aggressive, kind of angry, chip on his shoulder, wants to live up to his father's expectations, but is never going to quite do it. And his father knows. And that's why, leading into the last battle, as far as like, for fuck's sake, I'm going to have to do this myself. And ends up having to do it. He does put the trust in his son. Whereas in the Braveheart versions of those characters, you would never see him putting trust in his son, because he knows his son is a Nancy boy, to use
useless,
an expression.
Well, he's ashamed of him, isn't he?
Yeah. Whereas I thought this was a much more realistic kind of interpretation, that he's like, okay, I've trusted you, son. You're going to do this, aren't you? And his son fucks up and he's like, for fuck's sake, I'm going to have to do this myself. And then has to go and do it. But I thought the relationship between the two of them was really well done. And I thought, Billy Howell was great as Edward II. Like, especially the end scene where he's puking on the battlefield. And begging and wonderful.
I know you think me incompetent, Father, but I am to be king. One day. Let this be a test.
What would you do, son?
I would raise the dragon, Father.
Get word to Valence. Robert the Bruce to be declared an outlaw. Any man or woman who would give shelter to him or any of his ranks to be executed without trial. My son will raise the dragon banner. The codes of chivalry are ended. There will be no quarter.
And I think the reality of Edward II was probably a bit of a mixture of both performances, like the Braveheart performance and this performance, from what I've been reading about, what happens. And then, of course, famously, the nobles turned on Edward and his son, who was thought not to be his son, but the son of, is it Peter de Montfort or something like that, who was having an affair with Isabella, his wife, suspected to have been the actual father of Edward III, and sort of became de facto king until Edward III was old enough to kind of take the reins. But yeah, I can imagine both versions of Edward II probably being killed with a hot poker up the arse, which apparently is what happened to him. That's apparently how he was dispatched by the nobles who turned on him. History says.
And of course, I mean, if we come into historical inaccuracies, which I know we'll speak about a few later on, but I mean, Edward II wasn't at the Battle of Loudon Hill. In fact, he wasn't even king. His father was still alive. He didn't die until 2 months after the battle. But we'll allow a little bit of poetic license for that, just to enjoy the good film.
And Edward I wasn't buried in Scotland. He was he died in England and was I think he's in Westminster Abbey, I think. So you want some Robert the Bruce facts? Some quick facts?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so fact number 1, he was a shagger. 11 kids, 5 of which were illegitimate. One of these illegitimate kids went by the name Archibald the Grim for some reason. The thing about the spider is thought to be kind of folklore, about him, the sort of, watching the spider building the web and failing a few times and realising that he could do it. There's a great scene which isn't in this film because it happened in Bannockburn, but apparently at a break in the fighting in battle during the Battle of Bannockburn, Bruce was spotted by an English nobleman called Harry de Bohun, who decided that he was going to take his opportunity to take Bruce out. So he rode at him with his lance, and apparently Bruce moved to the side on his horse and brought his axe down on his head so hard that he split his helmet and his hat open.
Jesus.
And his head and his helmet open, and because he hit so hard, the axe handle broke in his hand.
Wow.
And apparently Bruce's only regret was that he'd broken his famous act. That's fucking hardcore, isn't it?
Yeah, that's hardcore. You've broken my axe.
Yeah, you fucker. But yeah, I mean, his when he died, Robert the Bruce, Black Douglas, who we'll get on to in a minute, played by Aaron Taylor-Johnson, he went off crusading, and apparently when he was on his deathbed, Bruce asked him, because Bruce was a devout Christian, and his big regret was that he never got to go and crusade. So he asked Douglas to take his heart on crusade, which Douglas did. Douglas was killed on crusade years later. I mean, his history is something else entirely. He the absolute fucking mentalist if you read about him. But when they were working on Dunfermline Abbey, they found, because Bruce's tomb was destroyed during the Reformation, like the sort of rise of Protestantism and the victimization rather of the Catholic Church. His tomb was destroyed, but when they were doing some work in Dunfermline Abbey in the 1700s, they came across what was left of his tomb and his coffin, and so when they got him out, they thought it was him, but they wanted to be sure he was cut from sort of neck to sternum. It was opened up, which suggests that was true. His heart was taken out and taken off into battle. So there you go. But yeah, I think Bruce is he's interned in Dunfermline Abbey to this day. So there you go.
Wow. Yeah. Robert the Bruce facts.
Bruce facts.
Right, let's come on to him then. Aaron Taylor-Johnson finding his absolute niche as a complete fucking nutcase. James Douglas, who just wants to reclaim his land and his name. A fucking inspired performance. I smiled every time he came on screen. An absolute psychopath. Very much reminded me of David O'Hara as Stephen of Ireland in Braveheart. It was, and that's why I can kind of not quite believe David Mackenzie in terms of he's saying he didn't take anything from Braveheart, because it's very much the same. I mean, as you've said, like the story of Black Douglas is kind of exactly as it happened. The only thing when I read about it was the only thing they actually changed was that when he takes his castle back, it actually took place at a banquet rather than the chapel. But that chapel scene is fucking epic. And Aaron Taylor-Johnson, okay, I would say his accent is good, but it isn't consistent as Chris Pine's. It does go up and down a bit, but in places, because I rewatched it again today, in places it's pretty much spot on, but in places it does kind of go up and down a little bit. And he's got a very strong kind of London accent in real life. He's kind of like Essex, like kind of, you know, South London accent. So, and he did say he really struggled because he's like, honestly, a Scottish accent is probably the hardest accent I've ever had to do. And you know, he's done a lot of American accents and stuff, but and I guess you think, a Scottish accent probably is quite hard to do for a non-Scot and to keep it consistent. Yeah, he's just fucking amazing in this film, though, isn't he?
He's good. Yeah, I mean, and you know, I mean, he's fucking going for it, you know, and especially in the battle scenes and the fighting scenes. But by all accounts, you know, if you read the history of Douglas, you know, it does feel like Johnson's performance rings true to some extent.
Yeah,
you know, the whole thing about salt in the well when he takes the castle back. I mean, apparently Douglas, he didn't just salt the well; he put the dead Englishmen and their horses down the well as well to make sure.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You know, and it was a religious holiday. It was that's why they're having the feast. It was bizarre. But how do you say it?
Sam Sunday.
Sam Sunday. Yeah, sorry. Bit of a heathen, you know. So probably unexpected, because there is a moment in the film when Bruce calls out I don't know the character written down, but the English fella who's the sort of steward of Scotland, and he says, "So we can settle it 1-on-1 right now." And he's like, "Yeah, but it's Sunday, and unlike you, we don't battle on a Sunday." So they weren't expecting. The last thing they would have expected is for Douglas and a handful of men to sort of turn up and start knifing people at the feast. You know,
it's just when you introduced to him in the first. I mean, Christ, we'll come back to that. I haven't even talked about the first 9 minutes of this film, which is all in one shot.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Which is epic. We'll come back to that after we've spoken about Aaron Taylor-Johnson. But you see him in those first 9 minutes trying to claim his land and his name back. He gets pushed away. And then the next time you see him, he's coming down on the horse or coming down the road to Robert the Bruce's army, and they think he might be a threat. And beautiful scene between him and Bruce. Are you a good man? I'm trying to be. That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
I killed John Coleman at the altar. You should know the man to whom you're offering loyalty.
Are you a good man?
I'm trying to be.
It's good enough for me.
And he just fucking battles for Bruce. And Bruce obviously really repays that and shows that and appreciates that, because later when they're kind of reclaiming Scotland and he says he wants to go back and take over his own land, and he's can I take 3 men? Take 5, but be careful, I've already lost 2 brothers. I don't want to lose another one. And you kind of, your heart swells there. You're like, oh, Jesus, he sees him as a brother. But for me, it's the final battle scene when he bumps into the English guy, and he's just, what's my fucking name? And he's battering him. What's my name? Duncan. And then just Douglas. The reason is I used to work with a guy called James Duncan, and that's why I always start saying James Duncan. And he says Douglas and just fucking slashes him. And beautiful. I mean, do you think Aaron Taylor-Johnson showed this as his showreel audition for getting the role of Craven the Hunter?
No, possibly. He's got to do a Russian accent in that. I've seen the trailer for that Craven the Hunter. It looks like it's going to be a pretty bloody affair. Yeah. If the trailer's anything to go by. So yeah, maybe that, and he's sort of nondescript Eastern European accent he does in the Avengers 2 is
Quicksilver.
Petro. Yeah, Quicksilver, Wanda's brother. Maybe. Like, I've always quite liked Aaron Taylor-Johnson. I think the first thing I saw him in was he plays John Lennon in a film called Nowhere Boy that's about John Lennon as a sort of teenager just when he meets the rest of the Beatles.
Oh, really?
And it's a pretty good film.
No, I know the film. I'm just surprised that was the first thing you saw him in.
I think it's the first thing I saw him in, and then of course I saw him in Kick-Ass, which is I enjoyed that first one. I didn't enjoy the second one quite as much, but it was okay. No. But the first one's really good, and he's great in it. And the other one, the other one of his that I enjoyed, I think I got panned a bit, was the Oliver Stone one, Savages. He's got Benicio del Toro's in it, John Travolta's in it. I think Amber Heard, Ryan Reynolds' wife. Can't remember. Blake Lively.
Blake Lively.
Yeah. And I thought that was quite good. I quite enjoyed that. Oh, Salma Hayek's in it as well. I quite enjoyed that, and I thought he was good in it. But he's a fun.
You see him in Bullet Train.
Yeah, that's a good film. That's good fun as well. Yeah. No, I rate him. I think he's a good actor, Alan Taylor-Johnson. Although he has taken his wife's name, and his wife's like twice his age. Did you know that?
It's,
Amy, is it Amy Johnson, his wife?
No, Sam
Taylor.
Sam Taylor. Yeah.
She's like
highly tipped to be the next James Bond.
Yeah, I'm not against it. It might be all right. Yeah,
I think he'd be pretty good. I mean, if he wants to not give up his career, because I mean, to be fair, it's not the chalice it once was. Because look at Daniel Craig; he's done a lot. Okay, it does tie you down for a lot, but then Daniel Craig has done a lot of other stuff. In terms of Knives Out, Glass Onion, and he's done a few other things. And I think nowadays, in terms of all the streaming networks like Netflix, you can do like a Netflix film or things and not be tied down. But I think Aaron Taylor-Johnson would be a fucking great Bond.
I think it'd be good. I mean, I think with a Bond film, it's like a year, right? It's probably a year of your life.
I'd say about 2 years, because you've got a year of filming and then probably a year of promotion. Because it's a promotion machine that you go on for a Bond film. So I would say about 2 years, I think, for a Bond film.
I think with Craig, he did a lot of interesting stuff before he was Bond. Like as opposed to Connery, who had done a couple of sort of
milk rounds.
Delivered a lot of milk. He's in that weird Irish film like Mick Darby and the Little People or something like that. Before he was in Bond, like Roger Moore was already quite an established television actor before he became Bond. I hadn't seen Timothy Dalton in a lot of stuff before he was Bond, really, or since. Although he's fucking brilliant in Hot Fuzz, I have to say. And then Brosnan's never really done a lot high profile stuff since.
Come on. He's been in Mamma Mia. Mamma Mia 2. He was in the Thomas Crown Affair. Brosnan has done a few things, actually.
Yeah.
I would dispute that. Brosnan's done a few things, I would say.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. We'll let that slide. He was in Black Adam with the Rock thing. Not Black Adam. Yeah, Black Adam. Is it Black Adam?
I haven't seen Black Adam, so don't know.
It's called Black Adam, though, right? Shazam.
Yeah, the superhero Rock film. Yeah, Shazam's kind of arch enemy. Yeah, Black Adam. Yeah.
I thought I was saying something like horribly racist there for a second. I was like, was it called Black Adam?
No, it's okay.
That's okay. So yeah, let's see. I think Taylor Johnson's got quite a diverse sort of resume already and the stuff that he's done. So he could probably go into Bond and still do, to your point, some interesting stuff adjacent to his tenure as Bond, and probably he's young enough to go on to do a lot of fucking great stuff afterward as well, you know?
It seems a shame that we're kind of at the end of our review, really, and we're about to talk about the opening 9 minutes of the film, but the opening 9-minute shot is spectacular. Like, it just puts you so in it, and it's just this long tracking shot that sees, you know, Robert and everyone pledging their allegiance to Longshanks. Then you get this epic sword fight between Robert and Edward, which is just this 360 kind of view that you kind of feel you're right in. And then you see the werewolf, and that is just an incredible shot of the kind of flaming boulder coming back and then going through. And I didn't realise until the second time I watched it. I'm like, that's all one take. How did I not notice that before? It's epic.
You don't really realise until you're right in it. You know, like going in and out of the tent when Edward calls the younger Edward in and everything. Yeah, it's great. I like that kind of thing. And I was wondering as well if the I mean, obviously they haven't really fired a flaming metal ball at a castle,
no,
but I wonder. Well, yeah, of course, but I was wondering how much of the catapult was in camera. You know, did they build the apparatus? Because they could fire it dry for the CGI, you know, just fire the mechanism so it moves round and creates the motion. But I suppose you'd have to weight it to do that as well, right?
Yeah,
to get that
so,
real.
yeah.
So maybe not. Yeah, maybe not. But yeah, it's a cool shot. Everyone's there, and was it Edward says? He says, you know, you can enjoy being on the winning side for a change or something like that. He says, right after they fire the catapult. Now you can accept their surrender. So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Have you ever swore on the bodies of two dead swans?
No, I haven't. And that was going to be my intro for you as well, in terms of you swore on the necks of two dead swans that you were uptold the Culture Swally, but I decided not to. But no, I've never held a swan's neck. Fucking hell, swans are vicious. I wouldn't even go near a swan.
It could break your arm.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that.
I think I was out walking Bobby the other day, a few weeks ago, and there was a swan walking around that was kind of following us, and I was kind of running away with him, like, come on, we need to go. That swan will break your neck.
Swans are like, they just look like fucking pissed off all the time, swans. Even when you see them, like, kind of gliding across like a glassy lake, or loch, we should say, because it's a Culture Swally. They just look fucking pissed off. Look at that fucking really angry look on their face all the time.
I don't know. In the summer, like on the river I live in, you see a lot of swans, and when they're sleeping, like if I'm up walking my dog in the morning and we're walking past and they're still sleeping, like the way they sleep with their long necks tucked into their underneath, and they look so cute. So, but yeah, vicious little bastards.
Yeah, but you can't see their faces because their faces are under their wings. They could be fucking... but
they just look like little fluffy donuts. Like, they look lovely. Right, to get back on the film, one criticism I have about this film is that I don't think they built up a lot of the characters enough, because genuinely, when Robert the Bruce's brothers die, I didn't give a shit because I didn't know them. Because we saw them in like 2 scenes beforehand, and genuinely, when one of them died, I'm like, who's he?
Especially Alex, the one that gets ran through with a spear on the boat.
Yeah. I'm like, who's he? Why is he so... Oh, it's his brother, okay.
Yeah.
At least the guy that gets garroted, which is
Neil.
Pretty fucking brutal. Neil, yeah. At least I knew he was his brother. But yeah, I'm kind of like... And it wasn't till the second time I watched it, I'm like, okay, there's literally 2 scenes with them all together, and it's all round a table. But otherwise, you wouldn't know who the fuck they were. So...
No.
Why would I care? So I think there was that's one criticism I have. I wasn't invested enough in those characters.
Yeah, I would agree completely. And the thing is, the other thing that pissed me off a bit as well was that why didn't it go all the way to the Battle of Bannockburn? Like, the ultimate victory, really. And they didn't quite put the crown on his head, but it certainly was one of the decisive blows that would eventually see him crowned the King of Scotland.
Yeah, I wonder if they did that because, and that's another thing, because the Battle of Loudon Hill took place in 1307.
Mm-hmm.
So at the beginning of this film, it says 1304. So this film takes place over a period of 3 years. Which doesn't feel like it. It feels like it takes place over like fucking 10 days or something.
Yeah.
Or 2 weeks.
And it's 7 years before Bannockburn as well, the Battle of Loudon Hill.
Exactly. I did have on my notes, did they consciously not want to end at Bannockburn? But then I wonder if they were kind of like, well, the Battle of Loudon Hill was kind of the trigger that led to the events of Bannockburn. And maybe that was why, I don't know if they wanted to not make it the freedom kind of aspect almost. If
Maybe.
they wanted to make it kind of just a little, maybe they wanted to set it up for Outlaw King 2, Electric Scottish Boogaloo.
Freedom Boogaloo. But they sort of ruin that by the subtitles at the end of the film that tells you what happened, you know. Well, so after the Battle of Loudon Hill, blah, 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 and it's sort of, you know, so like if it was ever in their mind to do a follow-up, they wouldn't have done that because, you know, for anybody not familiar with the history, those lines at the end of the film kind of spoil a potential sequel for anybody who doesn't know what actually happened, right?
Oh, Greg, have you not seen films before? Like at the end, in Halloween 2, like Jamie Lee Curtis finds out Michael Myers is his sister, and then H2O it still is, and then they rewrite it when it comes to the new Halloween films. You can just fuck up the timelines, it's fine. If they want to do, you know, it's fine. They can do whatever they like and rewrite things.
Well, there's two other Bruce films which I've not seen, and I didn't have time to try and watch in time for today because we only had a week. Now, the first one, The Bruce, starring Oliver Reed and Wolf from Gladiator, I understand that does cover Bannockburn, the Battle of Bannockburn.
Sorry, did you just say Wolf from Gladiator?
Is Gladiators... He's in the Bruce.
There's a film, The Bruce, with Oliver Reed and Wolf from Gladiator.
Yeah, it came out after Braveheart.
I never knew about this.
It didn't do very well. I can tell you the full cast. I've got it open on my screen right now. So you got Sandy Welch, who plays Robert the Bruce, whoever the fuck he is. He's not even got a Wikipedia page. Oliver Reed as Robert Wishart. Brian Blessed plays Longshanks. Richard Brindlecombe plays Edward II. He doesn't have a Wikipedia page, so we'll never know who he is. Pavel Douglas plays John Comyn. Hildegard Neal plays Eleanor of Castile. Michael van Wyck, who I guess is Dutch, plays Henry de Bohun, who I mentioned earlier on, who got his fucking head cut in two. Dee Hepburn of Gregory's Girl plays Robert the Bruce's wife. Ronnie Brown plays Maxwell. Don't know who either of those are, the actor or the character. Jake Darcy is Chief Mackenzie, but it's not on Wikipedia, but I know for a fact that Wolf of Gladiators is in it as well. It's probably on YouTube because it famously made fuck all money. Like the budget was £500,000, and I don't think it even made fucking 10 grand. Now, the other one came out in 2019, and it stars Angus McFadden, who plays Robert the Bruce in Braveheart. So there's a bit more about that film on Wikipedia. It doesn't cover the events of Bannockburn. It's all about Bruce being wounded and taken in by some village woman and getting close to their family and everything. It doesn't cover the historical excitement that we want to see on the big screen, which is probably why it only made £20,000 in the UK in its opening week.
Sad state of affairs.
The sad state of affairs. Like I said at the beginning of the pod, like I've read like a fair bit about Scottish history this year. Some of it I knew, just from kind of growing up and everything, but a lot of the detail I didn't know. But this period in Scottish history is really exciting to read about. It's got intrigue, it's got betrayal, it's got fierce battles. It feels perfect for like a big, exciting sort of swashbuckling film. But there's very little really movies about Scottish history, really. It just so happens that one of them is an incredibly famous, well awarded film in The Shape of Braveheart.
Well, I would say, I really enjoyed watching this film. Really enjoyed it. I thought it was great. Nice bit of Scottish history, and nothing against Chris Pine at all for his accent or anything, but really enjoyed this. And you should make more Scottish history films in terms of this, because it's such an exciting period.
The good thing about this film as well, like unlike Braveheart and Rob Roy, the majority of the film was actually shot in Scotland.
Very true. Yeah.
Yeah. And I need to issue a correction. I gave an erroneous fact earlier on. Archibald the Grim wasn't Robert the Bruce's son. He was one of the Black Douglas's sons. He had two sons. He had William, who became the Lord after James died, and Archibald the Grim, who I guess didn't he didn't rise to nobility. And one very last fact: the Corries have got a song about the Black Douglas. Oh, so there you go. If remember the Corries, they were fucking massive in Scotland at one time.
They were huge. Yeah, I remember the Corries. Yeah, of course.
Yep. So there you go. I guess it's time to put the Outlaw King through our Swally Awards.
Yes, let's do it, Greg. What have we got first?
Right, so even though Bobby the Barman is in the film, or rather the actor who plays Bobby the Barman, Gavin Mitchell, is in the film, there are no pubs to speak of.
No.
So we'll go right on to the James Cosmo Award for being in everything Scottish. No shortage of choices here, but I think you kind of got to give it to Cosmo.
Yeah, it's Cosmo. The award's named after him. Rab Affleck was a close second, but it has to be Cosmo.
Well, I gave Affleck, Donaghy, and Gilchrist and Curran sort of special mention, but yeah, I think Cosmo is the winner of that one. The next one then is again, no shortage of choices here, but the Jake McQuillan Your Tease Out Award. What did you pick for this one?
I went, and there are quite a few, obviously, but I went with Robert punching Edward at the end, just after the last battle.
Yes, very in the McQuillan tradition. Yeah, that one. I think also the slap that the Lady of the Isles gives to Angus when he returns back home.
Yes,
is quite a good one. You could also have there's the kind of double header of the impaling of Alex Bruce in the boat, but also the impaling of the unusual character Drew, the squire who saves the Bruce's crown from the first battle and gives it to him as he's taking his last breath on the blooded fields of Loudon Hill. Next one then, the Francis Begbie Award for gratuitous swearing.
What did you go for this?
I went with Douglas. Where's that cunt Clifford? It feels very much in the tradition. What about you?
That was in my top three. I loved Angus's wife. Where the fuck have you been? And slapping him across the face. But for me, it has to be Black Douglas. What's my fucking name?
Yeah, it's a great one. Yep, all good. All good ones there. Next then, the Ewan McGregor Award for gratuitous nudity. A couple of choices.
It's Chris Pine's cock in the lake. Let's just be honest. There is a sex scene which is not necessarily needed, but it is in part of the story of the film. However, gratuitous. There's no need for Chris Pine to just be in that lake with his cock.
No.
Coming out.
Not really. Yeah.
And that is what the award is, gratuitous nudity. And I think the sex scene, and we can speak all about Florence Pugh's tatas and Chris Pine's pee and bum in that scene. But I think that kind of was needed for the storyline, whereas Chris Pine just being in the lake, just coming out with his cock out, was that needed?
Yeah, probably not. Maybe. Well, we know that David Mackenzie likes his leading actors to get their cocks out, so maybe
that's one of his. That's very true.
Yeah, it's just one of his little foibles, perhaps. And then the next award, then. The sort of archetypal Scottish moment. What did you go for here?
We've done this for Braveheart and we've done it for Rob Roy, really, haven't we? It's just the general kind of hatred of the English. And
Yeah. I mean, you could have had that. I had selective use of religion. It's pretty Scottish.
That's probably a better choice, actually. Yeah, that probably works a little bit better.
Finding a wee bit of a wee jaggy thistle in bed.
Have you ever done that though? Really? Have you ever done that?
No.
Find a wee jaggy. No. Okay.
No, I'm sure. I'm sure. Maybe one of our listeners has, but no. Thankfully, it's never happened to me. And then the last one, then the Sean Connery Award. Who won the film for you?
Who have you gone for?
Tough one for me. I think Aaron Taylor Johnson gives great value. It's great fun. Every scene he's in is great, because most scenes he's in, he's fucking attacking somebody in some shape or form, and he's in all the exciting moments. Chris Pine is very, very good. You know, we've rained praise on his Scottish accent. I think Chris Pine's a likeable guy in real life, and I think he is quite. You know, he was in Scotland a few weeks ago. I think he sort of fell in love with the Scottish countryside when he was making this film.
We had him on the Purple Tin Game a few episodes ago.
We did, exactly. But I think for me, in terms of just what I really enjoyed about the film, and he's not in it as much as the other actors, but I just really enjoyed Tony Curran. I just think we need to see him in more things. You know, for me, he really brings a lot of authenticity to his part and to the dynamic and everything, and I just really enjoyed his performance. You know, and it was good to see him playing a character, you know, sort of based on a real person, but, you know, it's... Because the thing with this film, you know, it's about a serious time in Scottish history, but it's a good ride. You know what I mean? It's good fun. It's a ride, this film. And I think Curran is, you know, rather than seeing him playing like a serious sort of damaged character, he just seems like he's having a great time.
Yeah, true.
Because it feels to me like he's enjoying giving his performance. You know, I enjoyed watching it. And I look forward to his moments. So for me, it was Curran. What about you?
Yeah, kind of similar. I think Chris Pine is incredible in this. Like, I really, really liked his performance. Florence Pugh's amazing. I give it to Aaron Taylor-Johnson because when I think of this film, I will think of his character. And I will think of Say My Fucking Name and just the brutality and the scene in the church and just what he's got spit running down his beard and blood all over his face and just raging. And he wins it for me. Tony Curran would probably come a close second, actually, because he is fantastic. And I love the kind of interaction, especially that scene I mentioned earlier when he's like, stay the fuck away from my daughter. But I think I would go with, Aaron Taylor-Johnson for that. But
cool. Very good.
Wonderful. Okay, so... that was my choice this week, Greg. So, you know what? It's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas, Greg. And our next episode of the Culture Swally will be our Christmas episode. So, why don't you tell us what we're going to be looking at on the Christmas episode of the Culture Swally, Greg?
Well, I've gone for a deep, deep cut and one that I've never seen before. I've chosen it because it was broadcast at Christmas. It was part of, I think, Channel 4 or ITV's Christmas programming, starring the late, great Robbie Coltrane, who's accompanied by people like Bill Murdoch, Ron Donaghy, Craig Ferguson, Majure, and it's 1992's The Bogeyman, where he plays a mental patient who believes he's Humphrey Bogart. So looking forward to watching that because I've never seen it, and we've not really had a ton of Coltrane appearances on the Culture Swally, really, considering how many episodes we've done over the last few years. So that is something we shall have to remedy, to paraphrase another Scottish historical epic.
What have we had him in? We've had him in a couple of things, have we? Or
considering everything he's done. Not like comparatively speaking, not as much as some other Scottish actors.
No, definitely not. Need to
not as much as Alex Norton.
Definitely not. I need to rectify that. But wonderful. Okay, so The Bogeyman, which I believe is available on YouTube. And if you want to do your homework for the Christmas episode, you can watch it there.
Well, I hope it is. Otherwise, we might be talking about something completely different in the next episode.
It's definitely available on YouTube. But if it's suddenly not anymore, don't worry, Greg. I downloaded it the other day, so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
From YouTube. Excellent. So we can, anyway, okay. Right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us on cultureswally@gmail.com, or if you want to follow us on the socials, you can follow us on Instagram @cultureswallypod, or if you want to follow us on X, which was formerly known as Twitter, you can follow us @swallypod. And Greg, we have a wonderful website as well, don't we?
Yep, you can find us at cultureswally.com with links to all their episodes, some articles about Scottish media and culture. I'll put up the picture on the earlier news story about the doll, and you guys can let us know if you think that they can see a creepy wee face there or if it's, just a lot of bollocks. But we'd love to hear from you.
Fantastic. Right, well, I'm going to go off and research some creepy wee dolls. Right. Well, I'll see you at Christmas, Greg.
See you at Christmas. Until next time.
Till next time.
I could talk about God, but he has no place where we are going. I could talk about honor, but you are here. You know enough about honor. I know you all as men, but today we are beasts. We fight for God, for honor, for country, for family, for yourselves I do not care, so long as you fight!